All right, everybody, it's time for us to do another iceberg video where I will take you on a journey through the wild world of pop punk, everything from the very tippity top of the iceberg where the normies hang out, and I'll take you all the way down to the absolute subterranean depths of pop punk where only the most brave souls have ever ventured. I got a lot to say about this. Let's check it out. So, of course, we have at the very tippy top of the iceberg. I'm not going to spend much time on this. Isn't all pop punk normie music? No, only to you metal people. Only you metal people think that. At the very tippy top of the iceberg, of course, we have all the basic TRL bands: Blink-182, Sum 41, Newfound Glory, Good Charlotte, Simple Plan, the Big Five. You know, all those bands that every 13-year-old saw on TRL in 2001 or 1999 or whenever it was. But we've all heard about those a million times, so we're not here to talk about that. Yes, exactly. Tell a normal person you like pop punk and they will have no clue what you're talking about. That's exactly right. And newsflash, if you know what I'm talking about, you're not normal, unfortunately. So what I'm here to talk about is the stuff a little bit further down the iceberg. So we'll go a little bit deeper down the iceberg, just a little bit. You know, I'd say we're up here at the very top, but now we're going to get down to sort of the upper part of the submerged area of the iceberg, which I think is where things start getting a little bit more interesting. For example, this is like all the bands that were on major labels, and like it felt like they were trying to become the next Blink. Well, they were trying to become the next Blink, of course, and they were all on major labels, and they definitely, you know, they did get through, but not quite. And I feel like this is like some of the absolute best stuff. For example, the starting line. I think this is from 2004 or something. This intro is far too long. I don't think they needed to bring their whole like back line, you know, with like their rack mounted stuff. I don't think they needed to bring all of that stuff to the video set. I think they could have skipped that. Really great production, yes. What a great album. Remember, this is how influential Travis Barker was. Is like everybody back then, all the drummers just tried to play like him, like having all their like cymbals and toms like perfectly flat and like, you know, holding their like elbow really high when they play hi-hat like he does. I miss the soccer jersey era. It's true. It's true. The soccer jersey and the tracksuit era of pop punk. Take me back. That's all I wanted is the youth large satin soccer jersey. Great band, great album. Another band from this era that I have talked about a lot. Two bands that I've talked about a lot. I will continue to talk about a lot. Number one is Mest. They got signed by Madonna to her label Maverick in what, like 99, I think, or something like that. 98. They got signed very early. Clearly, you know, the label is trying to like, you know, have the next Blink. And I gotta say, I absolutely love Mest. Yeah, this is a crazy time for music. Random small bands getting approached by majors, seeing legit hardcore dudes on TRL. It was great. That's exactly how I felt. And I love Mest. Genuinely, sincerely. I literally, like, I think this album is, like, sincerely amazing. The shocking part is that they're not from Orange County. I mean, is there anything more Orange County looking than these guys in this car? Shockingly, from Chicago, not Orange County. What a great song. Got those Feldman drums too. What a great punchy snare. Such a catchy song. And you know, you don't see this anymore. I know I've talked about them before, but I will continue to talk about it. A drum rack. What happened to drum racks, people? Never forget what they took from you. When was the last time we saw somebody with a drum rack? They look like Huntington. Yeah, it looks like they are in Huntington, and it looks like they would be from Huntington Beach, but somehow from Chicago. The scratch is so dated. You take it back. This song was in a motocross game for GameCube. That sounds exactly right. I love this song. Another interesting time when like Tony was good friends with the Good Charlotte guys, and like them and Pete Wentz, like there's pictures of Tony Lovato from Mest partying with Paris Hilton, you know, in Hollywood in whatever, 2006 or something like that. Very, very strange time for pop culture when guys like this could literally smell Paris Hilton. And, you know, I know Tony a bit, and one thing I've never asked him is what Paris Hilton smells like. I'm just happy to say that I know somebody who knows what Paris Hilton smells like. That's my claim to fame. And that I'm friends with Mark McGrath from Sugar Ray. Best friends with Sugar Gay. Best friends. Okay, another band from around this era that I have very, very big fondness for is Unwritten Law. They got signed really early. I want to say 96, 97, before Blink even broke out, but like after Green Day and The Offspring. I absolutely love this album. This is their self-titled album, the Black Album, from I think 98, 99. I think their whole discography is pretty damn good, but this album is my personal favorite. Very underrated. You don't hear anybody talking about Unwritten Law anymore. And you should. They're great.
Well, I'm here, but I don't want to stay 'cause you're not around. And I can see that it's association with the past, so think about it.
Unwritten Law had like sort of a rock sound that I think was missing from a lot of these bands. Like, you know, they were sort of considered pop punk and part of that scene, but they really had a sort of rock edge that a lot of other bands kind of didn't. I think one of the other reasons why Unwritten Law kind of never really got as big as they should have is because Scott, the singer, a little bit of a troubled guy, you know, probably drank a little bit too much, probably did a little bit too much partying, and I think that sort of prevented the band from getting as big as they should have. Unfortunate. If you haven't checked them out, you definitely should. Other bands in this tier, I would say, would be like Alkaline Trio, MXPX, you know, these bands, we'll call them, like, I know I've said many times before that the C tier is really the S tier, but it's kind of true. The C tier in this case really is the S tier because, you know, if I'm being real, Unwritten Law is a C tier band, but C tier actually the A tier in this case. Now, Blink, Sum 41, Newfound Glory, probably overall better, but I feel like there's just something about this sort of tier of band, of pop punk band of this era that I think, I don't know, I kind of miss it. Another band we could talk about here would be Cartel. I mostly like this one because it just makes me nostalgic for the computer hardware here. These old, like, a 17-inch CRT monitor. This is from like 2005, I think. Remember back then, like, to get a 17-inch CRT monitor, like how just luxurious and amazing that was. Like, oh my God, I got a 17-inch monitor. Holy shit. I'm rich.
Please don't mind what I'm trying to.
This makes me feel very old. This comment here, this song was stuck in my head the first day of 9th grade in 2006, which makes me feel old because I was like 27 or something in 2006. So that makes me feel very old.
So I guess I'll see you around.
The other thing I want to know is, like, all the production on these albums back then was so good. Like, these mixes sound amazing. And I want to know, like, they must have probably spent like $500,000. Okay, here, look. This is how you know how old it is. People using digital cameras to take pictures of themselves for MySpace. The era of the mirror selfie also. I miss it. Remember the mirror selfie? Everyone had that, like, silver, what was it, the Canon ELPH camera? Everyone had that one. I miss that. It's just, it's not the same. When you see some girl's boobies on the internet and she has her iPhone, you know, in the mirror, it's not the same. I miss when you would see their boobies and it would have like the silver Canon ELPH camera in the frame. A couple other bands in this scene would be like Reliant K, I think. Another one of those bands that almost made it, but not quite, you know, that sort of had their moment, but never really broke through. I think this is some really, really top tier stuff of the 2000s. And now we're getting to a little bit lower down the iceberg. So we were just up here at sort of the top of the bottom. Now we're getting to the bottom of the bottom, where you may not know all of these bands. It might be a little bit more obscure here, or you may know them. I would say from that era would be Phoenix TX. which was mostly known because I think Mark Hoppus managed them or something like that. So like Mark really wanted to make Phoenix TX happen, and they just kind of never really did, but I thought they were pretty damn good. So if you like this kind of sound, I think this is from 2001 or something like this. So if you like that kind of mid-2000s sound and you feel like you're looking for something new, then, you know, you might like this. I do remember Bucko 9, yes. This song has really good lyrics, too. Yeah, that's right. They're originally called River Phoenix, and then the actor River Phoenix died, and obviously that would be in kind of poor taste, so then they changed their name to Phoenix TX.
Day and night, just steady struggling. You think that you can make it by yourself.
Kind of reminds me of Unwritten Law with like a not as good singer, but I like this band quite a bit. Check them out if you want some more. If you want to go down the iceberg a little bit, you can do that. Another band that, you know, perhaps I've put them even higher than I should have, but I know they had a little bit of a moment because they were on the soundtrack for Half Baked. So they had a little bit of mainstream exposure. It was Homegrown from somewhere in Orange County. I really loved this album. They never really got anywhere, but I thought this band was awesome. Very, very underrated. And shout out to the only pop punk band with a Vietnamese guy in it. I loved this album. This came out in 98, I think. Check them out if you haven't. You know, if you like some more, I mean, can I say that Homegrown is the best band in the world? I cannot. But if you want more of this sound, you know, you can. A couple other bands in this tier, I would say, would be the Ataris, which you probably know for their cover of Boys of Summer, but their originals are very good. Reliant K, Christian pop punk band. So if you feel like normal pop punk is a little bit too racy, if you're worried about your kids listening to regular pop punk because they talk about boobies and wieners, well then Reliant K is your band. Good, safe Christian pop punk boys. And of course, I mean, I've talked about them a million times, but I'm going to do it again anyway. Another band on this tier from the late 2000s / early 2010s, which I've talked about a million times, but I'm going to talk about them again, is Forever the Sickest Kids. Shout out to Dallas, Texas finest band. Never really quite made it. Almost, but not quite. These choruses are so damn good. What a chorus. What a band. So underrated. And you know it's legit because number one, this is from 2010. Number two, the highest resolution available on this video, you can see here, 480p. That's how you know it's legit. Pop punk around then was so much more pop than punk. That's why it was good. They should have been up there with All Time Low, but for whatever reason, they didn't quite get there totally. Well, the reason why is because their frontman just was not as charismatic as Alex and Jack from All Time Low. I mean, I think musically, Forever the Sickest Kids, their music, I would say, is as good as All Time Low. But I would say, you know, the charisma factor, Jonathan from Forever the Sickest Kids, just kind of an awkward dude. Yeah, I think that's the issue. The drummer was a babe. So if somehow Kyle could have been the front man, then I think they would have been a lot bigger, but that's not how it works. Oh man, look at this shirt. The peak of like 2010 merch design, this like exploded print with like the dripping neon letters. Absolute pinnacle of scene aesthetic. So Forever the Sickest Kids, definitely slept on. Another group of bands on this tier, again, we're here down on sort of the bottom where once you get down here, you start getting into neckbeard territory, is all the sad boy pop punk bands of say, you know, 2010 to 2014 or so. If you remember back on Tumblr, you remember this aesthetic when you would see something like this that would have like pop punk lyrics over a desaturated, you know, DSLR picture of nature, and it would have like 14,000 notes or something like that. It would be like reblogged 18,000 times in the past 3 months. That kind of era, stuff like this. Also, the Defend Pop Punk era, you know, when your Tumblr dashboard would be full of this stuff. You know, a picture of some like 9th grade girl's bedroom with this shit on the wall. You remember that? So, for example, the story so far, of course, who I've talked about many times before, but also Neck Deep, this album, and especially this song, Can't Kick Up the Roots, really, really, really good. Really great. Great album, great song. I do think it's kind of funny seeing these like Europeans, you know, this band is British, these Europeans cosplaying as Americans, you know, with like their DC shirts and backwards hats and stuff. What a chorus. Love this song. I thought Neck Deep, Story So Far, and State Champs were further up the iceberg. Well, I don't think so. I mean, you know, consider obviously the TRL stuff, absolute top of the iceberg, but all this stuff over here that we were just talking about, all the 2000 stuff, this was like almost mainstream stuff. You know, because this was on MTV and these were on a lot of movie soundtracks and video games and stuff like that. And in reality, nobody other than Tumblr kids knew about The Story So Far and Man Overboard and all that stuff, which is why I put it so far down the iceberg. It's more obscure than it may seem. Another band from this era, which I really liked a lot, is Real Friends. This video makes me so nostalgic because to me, this was the peak of Warped Tour. Sleepy Eyes and Bony Knees era. Crew necks and snapbacks everywhere. Pizza, khaki shorts. This is just like the peak of Warped Tour to me. And I mean, Warped Tour was 20 years old at this point. The first one was in 95, I think. So it was 20 years old at this point. But I feel like it was just at its peak. I don't know. And I was obviously a lot older than all these kids at the time. I was whatever in my 30s when this was happening. But, I don't know. I just feel like this, the hardcore adjacent drip, exactly. This is like when hardcore and pop punk sort of crossed over, and then Warped Tour was at its sort of peak, and I just think it was fun. It was a good time, good vibes. I miss it. Yeah, we need a revival of Tumblr Sad Boy. The Glamour Kills. Remember that? Bring back Glamour Kills, okay? I know sometimes Mark from Glamour Kills watches my videos, and I'm begging you, Mark, please resurrect Glamour Kills from the dead. Show us that this world has meaning. Bring it back. We need it. And of course, Man Overboard is a very interesting one because the Defend Pop Punk like merch, I think, was more popular than Man Overboard the band. Like they sold thousands and thousands and thousands of these shirts and flags and, you know, all that kind of shit. And people parodied these shirts a million times and stuff. But the actual band was never really that popular, to be honest. Like probably two problems there is like, number one, their songs were like good, but not great. And their frontman, I don't even know his name, just not really that charismatic. Yeah, Man Overboard wasn't very good, but their merch was awesome. I mean, that's kind of what it comes down to. Like they were pretty good, but the merch was just chef's kiss. And of course the Wonder Years, all those bands of that era. And now we're getting down to the very bottom of the iceberg. We're getting to the good stuff. We're getting down here into the Subterranean tier of the iceberg. This is where you got to be a serious fucking weirdo to know any of this stuff, okay? And we're going to start with Easycore. Now, Easycore, for anybody who doesn't know, very simply is pop punk with breakdowns. Everyone knows, of course, Chunk No Captain Chunk, the most popular Easycore band who were never really that popular. Yeah, the Fight Fair tier, exactly. That's when we're getting really, really, really low into the iceberg here. For example, one of my favorite European bands that cosplayed as Americans, Me versus Hero. And I don't know really anything about this band other than they were British, and this song is fucking awesome. This whole album is awesome. This band was so fucking underrated. It is tragic that this band never got more popular. This is from 2010. I still think this is amazing. I love this band. If you know who Me versus Hero is, you're a weirdo. Sorry to say it, but you're a weirdo. I saw your tweet. I didn't see your tweet. I was writing about this fucking band in 2010. I'm the only person who has ever written about this band. The song is awesome. I love it. I like how they're cosplaying as Americans here with their Letterman's jacket and this guy's backwards snapback, but then they give it away right here. Yeah, the hat, exactly. They give it away because the bassist is wearing one of these hats that you only see from like a Greek cabbie driver or some like Albanian fisherman, you know, that's trying to sell you shit at some like tourist trap. Great band. Another band from this era that I absolutely love, I've talked about many times, City Lights, good friends of mine. Two of them ended up being in Beartooth. But let's also talk about Major League. Do you guys remember this band? I don't think they ever got even slightly popular or anything like that. I don't think. But this band was great. Look how 2010 this album artwork is. We've got the big stretched ears. You know, he's got one of the slouchy beanies on the back of his head. You can see where he used to have his snake bites. Just everything about this is just screaming 2010. This band is great.
I'm giving up everything for this. No job, no car, no sign of my friends.
I listened to the shit out of this band back then. I remember learning about Easycore bands on YouTube from the best breakdown comps. Yes. Let's see if I can find it. Yes, here it is. This is one of the videos that I discovered a lot of bands from. My top 10 Easycore popcore bands. This is from like 2010 also. Let's see what we got here. Set Your Goals, Me versus Hero, With the Punches, For Your Strong, Fight Fair. Oh, shit. Look at this look. God. I definitely remember this video. Definitely remember this. This is from 2010. Absolutely remember this. Yeah, I watched so many of them. Here's City Lights. This is Ashi from Beartooth. Chase with his vest. God, I love City Lights. I miss bands that look like this. Fuck. This is all I ever want in life, is for the world to look like this again. The snapbacks, like the youth large neon t-shirts, white belt, you know, like the colorful like Nike SBs. All I want is for the world to go back to this. I would be like an anime villain, you know, like Madara in Naruto, that like destroys the whole world in order to save it. I would do that just to bring this look back. Oh, Freshman 15. God, remember them? They toured with City Lights in the most shittiest venues. But yeah, now we're getting really fucking far down the... When we're talking about Freshman 15, we're getting far down the iceberg. Going back to the 90s, though, let's talk about Guttermouth. I'll tell you a funny story about Guttermouth, which is, I would say, you know, probably like edgelord pop punk. Guttermouth is terrible. Guttermouth is absolutely awful, but great at the same time. I'll tell you a story about Guttermouth, and then we're going to play this song. I remember asking Fat Mike about Guttermouth, and he was like, oh, I was going to sign Guttermouth back in the 90s, but then somebody told me that they were racist and sexist and homophobic. And so I called Mark, the singer of Guttermouth, and I said, hey, I'm sorry, I can't sign you guys because I heard you're racist, sexist, and homophobic. And Mark said, that's not true. We aren't racist. So that sort of tells you where Guttermouth is coming from. Now, I'm going to play the beginning of this song. And, well, I'll let you be the judge.
You know what pisses me off more than anything is all these people who aren't exactly politically correct. How dare you call them dogs? They're Siberian American Huskies. That's like calling an African American a black. Worse yet, it's like calling a homosexual a stupid faggot. It pissed me off.
It was
so
the
bad
90s.
that my hair...
It is horrible. It's horrible. Guttermouth is horrible, but also great at the same time. Absolutely awful. Sounds like a trailer park. Yes. They're one of the worst bands of all time, and yet also great. Dollar Tree, Dead Milkman. It's horrible, but it has its own thing. Yeah, exactly. It's absolutely awful, and yet somehow great at the same time. And now we're getting real far down. We're not at the absolute ocean floor yet. We're here where you got to be this guy, potentially like a beluga whale, to know this stuff, which would be All. And unfortunately, they have a name that's impossible to Google because they were formed in the 80s before Google existed. All is basically the Descendants with a different singer, because when Milo quit the Descendants to go back to college, they got a new singer and changed the name of the band. I like them better than Descendants. They're a little bit more weird, and the production is really bad. But I actually like All better than the Descendants, but only just the absolute most fucking turbo virgin pop punk dorks know about this band. All fans are like Dance Gavin Dance level dorks, but I love this band. I think these are great songs.
Every word she said when she said, I'll never love again.
Time to hide your all albums? I would. How about this? If you're a real virgin, you'll know this. So there was this label called Cruise Records that had a lot of these bands. It was Greg Ginn from Black Flag started Cruise Records, and he put out a lot of these kind of like weird, like progressive pop punk bands, one of which was this band Big Drill Car. All was on Cruise Records, and this band Big Drill Car also was very nerdy, very weird. Even pop punk people didn't fuck with this band. Like absolutely nobody knew about Big Drill Car. I loved them. I thought they were great. Very obscure 90s shit. These are all bands that Tom DeLonge used to talk about. That sounds right, because he's old like me. I love this band. Like, I don't think this band ever played to more than like 70 people, ever. A lot of these bands are just stickers on the bigger bands' guitars. And that brings us to the very bottom. If you know this stuff, you have like ascended to another planet. You've transcended humanity. You have become an other dimensional form of life that we don't even recognize anymore. And I'm just going to give you two examples of that fit way down here. And if you know these, if anyone out there knows this, please let me know and I will give you a medal. First one is Boys Will Be Boys. And remember when people made videos with this? Remember when you would see this? You'd be like, okay, here we go. This is some 14-year-old girl that made a fan video of some band she likes. And you know this is going to be great and shit at the same time. Yeah, 3 likes in 15 years. How about that? I genuinely love this song and this band. Boys Will Be Boys. The song is called That's What's Up. Blatant Forever the Sickest Kids ripoff. In 240p. That's how you know it's legit. You remember those headbands? You remember the song Ant Knows? Look at this. Your text here. That's what I call a music video. Your text here. I want this aesthetic to come back. I love this. Listen to this part. Like, how 2009 is this part? And band photos that look like that. And at the very, very, very bottom, if anybody knows this, I've never met another person, I've never even heard somebody in my entire life mention this band. The very bottom of the iceberg here, it's not Crunkosaurus Rex, although it should be. If you'll remember how misogynist this era of pop punk was, this would be a good example. The talent show level, yes. This band, legitimately, I love this band. For whatever reason, probably because the singer looks like a history teacher, they never got popular, and also they have a horrible name called Outrageous. And also, the lyrics are super weird and like, I don't know, kind of slut-shamey and misogynist, but it's a great song. You remember back then when you could write a song about how like girls are sluts? That was like an acceptable topic in pop punk songs. It's like, this song's about a girl that's a fucking slut.
Aim it on the blackout like you always do. Baby, sweetheart, I see through you.
He sees right through her. Again, why does he look like a history teacher? That's my question.
'Cause you're a dirty, and we all know.
You're dirty, we all know.
I got that good shit, no time to waste it.
God, this song is so good, though. This one's rough. This next line is really, really rough. The guy looks like a Portland substitute teacher does. Right here.
All I see is every other guy who's been up in those thighs, yeah.
When I see those big blue eyes, all I think about is all the other guys that have been up in those thighs. Like, you seem pretty upset about this. The singer looks like such an asshole. He looks like the type of guy to be singing these lyrics, definitely. Yeah, very nice guy core, right? It's like, how come all these fucking sluts like all these assholes and they don't go for a nice guy like me? Huh? Girls are such dumb sluts. They don't like nice guys like me.
'Cause you're a dirty, and we all know.
He looks at her and thinks about guys. I'm not sure he likes girls. Hey, listen. If that's your thing, you know, I'm not into the cuck thing, but, you know, if when you see a hot girl, the first thing you think about Is dongs going into her? Listen, you do you. I'm not here to kink shame anyone. A little weird to me, but that's your call. It's a great song though, isn't it? Like, just, it's a very catchy song. That's the part that sucks. He said, "You're never gonna be with me." Wait a minute. She's gonna be so upset that she can't be with you. When she heard this line, she just broke out into tears, crushed at the realization that she can never be with you. Well, that does it, people. There we are. We've made it to the very, very bottom of the pop-punk iceberg. If anybody made it this far, and if you knew boys will be boys and outrage us, well, then then you're as much of a weirdo as I am, and I salute you. Thank you for your service, and that does it for this edition of the pop-punk iceberg. Crew necks and snapbacks everywhere, pizza, khaki shorts,